News: America in crisis. Police lashing out. Our news crew attacked on the streets of Washington.
We've been fired at with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. Safely.
Oh. Whoa. The Prime Minister calling for an investigation into US authorities. Donald Trump takes to the streets in a show of defiance as he threatens to send in the military. Also, a Melbourne kindergarten and a nursing home forced into COVID-19 lockdown. New cases from a hotel cluster. A sinkhole in the city causing commuter headaches. And Australia's streaming war gets a new player fighting for your TV screen.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. America is spiralling through another day of chaos, with Donald Trump declaring himself the law and order president and vowing to send in the US military if the states can't take control. Police crack down on the streets with indiscriminate force, lashing out at our cameraman and correspondent Amelia Brace in an attack that is now the subject of a top-level investigation.
Outside the White House, 30 minutes before curfew, police begin their attack.
We've just had to run about a block as police moved in. We've been fired at with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. We've also seen tear gas being used. Here we go, they're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. We're just staying safely. Media!
And now they're...
That's a photographer.
What's going on now.
A member of the press.
Now there's just a lot of violence erupting.
Hit with a shield in the stomach, a punch to the lens. Another officer lashes out with a baton as we run, trying to get out of an early surge.
You heard us yelling there that we were media, but they don't care. They are being indiscriminate at the moment. They chased us down that street, and as you see, they were firing these rubber bullets at everyone. There is tear gas, and now we are really surrounded by the police, and you really saw the way that they dealt with my cameraman, Tim. They're quite violent, and they do not care who they're targeting at the moment.
Hands up! Don't shoot!
The president is watching this and minutes from addressing his nation.
We're moving back, we're moving back.
Amelia, we're going to go low and across the street now, okay?
Yeah.
On my shoulder.
Yeah.
With the crowd as we're driven blocks back, people around us have hands in the air as tear gas flies. 4 minutes later, Donald Trump in the Rose Garden.
All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd.
The sound of tear gas canisters behind him.
I will fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order.
Night 7 of riots, the commander-in-chief came with an arsenal.
We will end it now. Today I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
A president vowing anarchists will be squashed.
These are acts of domestic terror, the destruction of innocent life, and the spilling of innocent blood is an offense to humanity and a crime against God. And now I'm going to pay my respects to a very, very special place. Thank you very much.
Just minutes after he finished,
a citywide curfew is in effect. 7 p.m. tonight.
Police clear the street. A rally tear-gassed. Military police with rubber bullets.
This was a peaceful protest until just now.
Peaceful protest!
Forcibly cleared out. Silenced as right on curfew, the president appeared, leaving the White House grounds.
Mr. President, your thoughts right now?
He crossed the street for the Church of the Presidents and, before a boarded-up building, held up a Bible.
It won't take long. It's not going to take long.
Calling in his team for a photo.
We have the greatest country in the world. Thank you very much, everybody. We're going to keep it nice and safe.
He sanctioned the use of tear gas by police officers in riot gear to clear the church guard. I am outraged. I just can't believe what my eyes have seen tonight.
On an earlier phone call, he'd blasted state governors as weak.
You're going to look like a bunch of jerks. Just to dominate.
Democrat states have already rejected his military offer.
A force on the ground is both unsustainable militarily, it's also unsustainable socially, because it's the antithesis of how we live.
The National Guard now already on White House grounds, and at least 23 states rallies into the night under close watch.
And Amelia Brace joins us now from Washington, D.C. Amelia, we've all seen those pictures now. Are you and your cameraman Tim okay?
Yeah, well, it all happened so quickly, Peter. We were quite some distance from that line of police and we weren't expecting the crackdown to happen until curfew, but they moved in so quickly and with such force. But yes, myself and my cameraman Tim Myers are both fine. We're a bit battered and bruised, but we are doing okay. And we've also checked a number of times today that as media, we are exempt from those curfew laws, though here tonight, we're being told by the Secret Service that we are not allowed to leave the front of our hotel room.
Amelia Brace in Washington, D.C., thank you. The Prime Minister has ordered an urgent investigation into the police attack on our crew. President Trump called Mr Morrison shortly after the incident, but to talk about September's G7 meeting. Mr Morrison's office says the Prime Minister was not aware of the attack until afterwards. He has since called it troubling. Looting and vandalism have continued in Los Angeles and New York. There were legitimate protests in both cities, but also opportunistic crime.
Battleground New York, as an 11 p.m. curfew fails to stop a fifth night of looting and violence. Among the targets, Macy's in Herald Square, Bergdorf Goodman, Nike on Fifth Avenue. In downtown St. Louis, 4 police officers were shot after tear gas was fired into a crowd of protesters. And in Los Angeles, a police car burns on the Hollywood freeway, an unsettling sight in a city set to explode. Here in the San Fernando Valley, armed shopkeepers confront looters.
So these are looters squaring off with community members holding weapons.
Bystanders flag down police.
Here comes the cops.
But they arrest the shopkeepers as the thieves sneak away.
Oh. They're protecting the store. The looters are over there.
Stand down for a sec, please.
Police eventually catch them. Other arrests at this Hollywood drugstore. Arrests too for simply being on the streets. A 6 p.m. curfew applied to LA, even earlier in Santa Monica and Beverly Hills.
The curfew is now in place here in this part of Los Angeles, and now police are moving in to deal with the crowd that won't go home.
In several places, police surrounded protesters until after the cutoff and then arrested them.
These people are all going to jail because of the curfew.
Earlier, protesters marched on Hollywood Boulevard, down the Walk of Fame and on Sunset. And here in Van Nuys, confronted by hundreds of heavily armed riot police backed by the National Guard. Elsewhere, citizens pitched in to repair the weekend damage.
The people who did this just came in for a quick buck.
Out of the very worst, the very best. That's the message this community wants to send. But as they begin to repair their shattered city, there's recognition this nation also has a lot of work to do.
In Los Angeles, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
George Floyd's brother has delivered a powerful message calling for calm to return to America's streets. He issued the plea as the post-mortem examination officially declared the arrest death to be homicide.
Terence Floyd overwhelmed. Sobbing and saluting. His brother was killed right here a week ago. Now there's a memorial and a platform to send a message America needs to hear.
My family is a peaceful family. My family is God-fearing. If I'm not over here messing up my community, then what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Y'all doing nothing, because that's not going to bring my brother back at all.
Calling on looters and rioters to, in his words, switch it up, break the cycle and to vote.
Educate yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you who's who. Educate yourself and know who you're voting for.
After days of unrest, the Floyd family is calling for calm, and this right now is perhaps the most powerful voice in this city. After days of unrest, Minneapolis is a city eager to show another side.
We wanted to bring more awareness to how peaceful it is out here.
The people are getting fed up.
George Floyd's death now ruled a homicide. An independent post-mortem examination finding he was starved of oxygen when one of the 4 officers held him down with his knee for nearly 9 minutes.
And Ashley Mullaney joins us now from Minneapolis. Ashley, have the crowds heeded the message from Terence Floyd?
Yeah, for the most part, Peter, we have only seen peaceful demonstrations here in Minneapolis today. Likely police will be on high alert come next week when Derek Chauvin fronts court. His appearance date pushed back now to next Monday. Having received those new autopsy results today, the Floyd family is demanding that his charges be upgraded from third-degree murder to first-degree murder. Peter?
Ashley Mullaney in Minneapolis, thank you. Protests over George Floyd's death are starting in Australia. The first is underway in Sydney now. Thousands are expected to rally in Melbourne this weekend. Paul Dowsley is at the US consulate on St Kilda Road. And Paul, Melbourne protesters say this is just the beginning.
Mitch, organisers want to show solidarity with Americans, and we have already seen it here this afternoon at the consulate on St Kilda Road, with tributes left at a memorial for George Floyd. And although we haven't seen protests like in the US, we have them underway in Sydney, as you say, right now. Thousands also out last night in Perth. Ours in Melbourne, Saturday, 2 o'clock on the steps of Parliament. 10,000 have said on Facebook that they will be there, but Police Minister Lisa Neville says with those numbers, it would be impossible to hand out fines for COVID breaches. The opposition says that's not fair. Organisers of Saturday's event here in Melbourne are encouraging protesters to obey COVID laws, but can't promise that it will stay peaceful.
Questions like, is it going to be peaceful, is the same question asked to the police and to the governments when they're out there slaughtering people.
If you want to take your daughter out for a driving lesson, you risk a fine, but if you want to turn up to a left-wing protest, you'll get a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Organisers say Saturday's event in Melbourne is not just a gathering, it's also a march. They'll start there at Parliament, Mitch. Where they'll end up, they won't say. Speculation is they could head for a police station.
Paul Dowsley in St Kilda Road, thank you. Victoria's been hit with another 10 COVID-19 cases. 4 are linked to the cluster at the Ridges Hotel on Swanston Street, which has now been evacuated. A kindergarten and a nursing home in Melbourne's north are also in lockdown.
No kids, just teachers and cleaners in front of an empty kinder. 10 kilometres away, an aged care home in lockdown. Victoria's coronavirus cases remain low, but still they have a significant impact.
This is going to be the new normal for a little while. This will continue to be disruptive, unfortunately.
Staff and residents at Reservoir's Embracia nursing home are today being tested after a staff member tested positive yesterday. She hasn't been there since Wednesday, but the home is closed for 2 weeks.
It's taken very, very seriously because we know the particular vulnerability that residents in nursing homes have.
McLeod Preschool is also closed after a teacher tested positive. Now 12 children and 8 staff will be in isolation for 2 weeks. But while 3 schools have closed in a week, attendance across the state remains high. 90% of preps to grade 2 are back at school, and for VCE students, 93%, the same levels as last year. Another 4 cases have been linked to the Ridges Hotel in Carlton. Almost all staff and contractors contractors are now in isolation and all guests, returning travellers in quarantine, have been moved to another hotel. While the containment effort is huge, so too is the work being done in Victoria's laboratories. The Walter and Eliza Hall Institute has received nearly $3 million in federal government funding to develop antiviral medications, which would fight not only COVID-19, but other similar viruses in the future.
What we would like to provide is a library of medicines that can be applied to the next pandemic. Nobody wants to go through this again, and I think this is where it's very important to be future-proof.
Laurel Irving, 7 News.
Queensland's Premier has apologised to the family of a 30-year-old man who was wrongly declared Australia's youngest COVID-19 victim. Miner Nathan Turner had long-term health problems and died last week. An initial coronavirus test proved to be a false positive.
Of course, we're very sorry for the distress that the family is going through at the moment and has experienced.
A post-mortem examination confirmed he did not have the virus. A sinkhole has opened up on Collins Street and it could remain there for several days. Estelle Grieping joins us now. Estelle, it was discovered early this morning, but it's still causing big headaches.
Well, Mitch, crews are still here tonight, and if you take a look at this sinkhole, it may only look like it's a couple of metres deep, but crews who were here since early this morning have told me the damage actually goes about 5 metres underground. The roots from a tree that have been strangling one of the pipes underneath Collins Street are being blamed for this sinkhole opening up. That tree was cut down late this afternoon and taken away. There were fears that it was about to topple over because it was so unstable. So this part of Collins Street has been shut for most of the day and trams have been diverted. The crews here have told me they're trying to fix this as quickly as possible, but it could still take a couple of days. Mitch?
Estelle Grieping in Collins Street, thank you. Footy's biggest stars aren't the only ones asking the AFL to open its books. Tim Watson has more with a preview of sport. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Mitch. Yes, coming up a little bit later, AFLPA has big question marks over major changes set to rock the footy world. But at Clubland, the brutal reality is impossible to ignore.
Our analysis shows that we'll run out of money by the end of this year.
Plus, the Saints star has his say on Chad Wingard's stance, a key bomber missing, just 10 days out from their season restart. Also, Clarko pays tribute to the legendary godfather of Hawthorn, and Mitch, the Storm skipper, was razor sharp today after their disappointing loss. All that and more coming up a little bit later in sport.
Thank you very much, Tim. Ahead, ratepayers diving headfirst into a pool problem. The shock cost of finding a name for a new aquatic centre. Also, Hoons putting lives on the line and defying COVID-19 restrictions. America's new history-making heroes on a high and flying the flag in space. And a plea from our best-loved towns for us to come and visit.
Seven News, brought to you by Aussie.
Home. It's not just a place we're stuck in. It's home-cooked meals, home workouts, homeschooling, working from home, home movie nights, and movie days. It's see you when I get home. Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
We're actually in the grand final, the big JF.
Over 3 massive nights.
Teams, welcome to House Rules Grand Final.
Bring it in, boys!
It's the epic Grand Final Challenge.
Here we go, eh?
Let's go!
One team will be crowned House Rules champions.
House Rules Grand Final Challenge. Tonight, 7:30.
What can you get at Kogan.com? You can order pizza, cook pizza, wear pizza, hug pizza, swim with pizza, sleep with pizza. Okay, too much pizza. Get it quick smart at Kogan.com.
Beacon's Mega Stocktake sale is now on. Enjoy reduced prices on all our stock at all Beacon lighting stores across Australia or online. That's mega savings on all our stock during our Mega Stocktake sale.
Lower body pain that keeps coming back? The source could be your feet.
Reduce the pressure on your feet with Scholl In-Balance Orthotic insoles. The motion control structure helps to absorb stress-inducing shock through the lower body. Scholl In-Balance Orthotic insoles are $32.99 each at Chemist Warehouse. Get back on your feet with Scholl In-Balance Orthotic insoles, designed and tested for your everyday life. Live, look, feel well at Chemist Warehouse.
Quality, style, exceptional value. A Mazda stands out. At the Mazda Standout End of Financial Year event, get a Mazda CX-5 Max from $32,990 drive away. Search Mazda offers now.
Shaver Shop's end of financial year sale. Save up to 80%. GHD Original Styler now $168. Philips Sonic Hair Electric Toothbrush half price. Plus 60% off this Braun IPL now $319. Save up to 80% at Shaver Shop. Sale on now.
Oh.
Hi.
Hi, Mum, it's me. I'm just checking in.
Oh, hi, darling. Can you hear me?
Yes, but it's a video call, so move the phone away from your ear.
No, away on. Can't see you. Oh, yeah. There you are. Hi.
So good to see your face, Mum.
You too, dear.
You don't need Australia's best network until you do.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Hoons have defied the law and COVID-19 restrictions in a dangerous secret meet at Ballarat. Videos posted on social media showed cars coming close to spectators. The illegal meeting took place at the Ballarat Aerodrome on Friday night. There were more than 100 people at the meet. Ratepayers are facing a massive bill because a local council can't decide on a name for a new public swimming pool project. It seems hard to believe, but critics warn the cost of the impasse could run into hundreds of thousands of dollars.
What's in a name? When it comes to a massive new council swimming pool at Rosebud, plenty it seems, including a bill heading towards $250,000 of ratepayers' money.
The naming of a pool, for God's sake, you know, it's ridiculous.
It's already cost a small fortune for consultants to find a name for the project. Locals were asked for suggestions, making hundreds of submissions. But the official council shortlist contained only Indigenous names, including Barbawa, meaning stingray, Yawa to swim, and the recommended name Gunnawara, black swan. Some councillors objected, preferring the less politically correct Rosebud Aquatic Centre.
So it's back to the drawing board and yet another bill for ratepayers. The Mayor says it will add hundreds of thousands to the cost of the project.
Given the length of time that this facility is going to be here for the community and the importance of it, we really want to get the name one that the community embraces.
I'm totally against the spending of the money. It's a waste of time.
It's hoped the pool will be opened and christened in time for Christmas. Tom Chadwick, 7 News.
NASA's astronauts from the SpaceX launch are settling into their new home on the International Space Station. They had some encouraging words for those of us back on Earth during these troubling times.
Anything is possible. You know, we've had a really rough couple of months, and just to be able to show the country what the agency's made of.
The astronauts also showed off a small US flag that flew on the first ever space shuttle flight in 1981. Victoria's regional centres are banking on a strong long weekend to help kickstart their battered economies. Jane Bunn is on the road tonight. Jane, there are a lot of towns with the welcome mat out.
Oh, Mitch, it is a bone-chilling 6 degrees here in Beechworth, where I've just finished day 2 of my tour of the northeast. It is a town with so much to offer travel-hungry tourists, but it desperately needs our help. Nestled in Victoria's high country, Beechworth is slowly coming back to life after lockdown.
It's been like a ghost town, literally a ghost town.
Hit by bushfires, then COVID-19, the tourist mecca lost its only livelihood. Its 8,000 Easter bookings cancelled. So what's in here?
Beautiful Australian handmade jewellery.
Vanessa Abbott's family gold and jewellery business has been slammed.
We were taking $100 a day, so my rent is $100,000 a year.
The gold rush town is in debt and desperate, with the long weekend offering a much-needed ray of hope.
We're all trying to work through what the new changes are, but to have people in a bit of a vibe here and be able to pour beers has been great.
Restaurants are booked up, walking tours will start again on Saturday, and Vanessa Abbott is keen to help those looking to spend. The struggling town has just received a $1 million boost from the state government and the local council to better showcase its rich history and attract more visitors. Locals are confident Beechworth can boom again, just as it did in the 1850s.
And there's still gold in them hills.
And you might be keen to escape Melbourne as we're having our wettest year on record. Since Sunday, we've had quite a lot of rain, nearly 50 millimetres at Mount Dandenong. Mitcham picked up 35, Springvale 33, but it does get less and less as you head west. Melton had only 1. With 17 in the city, we're back on track to record our wettest year on record. We've beat the current record by 10 after 484 millimetres already this year. The outlook is quite dry. I'll have details after sport, Mitch.
Thanks very much, Jane. Next, hear what the Reserve Bank is saying about interest rates now. Also, another big blowout in a major transport project. We'll tell you why. Our police facing a backlash over this arrest, accused of going too far. Holiday hope as Europe starts to emerge from lockdown and the first tourists return to the Colosseum. And the super load that's more than 100 metres long and super slow.
It's already been a season like no other.
I've been kicking the footy with my kids.
I've been playing in the backyard.
But the time has come.
Now we're back. We can't wait to be on the field.
To witness them in battle, there's nothing on earth like it. When they cross that white line, they become something else.
There it is, there it is! Got to get going, I've got to be bold.
And he's got it. When the footy returns, go to the footy on 7.
Go to the footy on 7. Go to the footy on 7.
The season returns Thursday, June 11.
G'day and welcome to another What's for Dinner segment brought to you by Coles.
We're Mick and Jodie Ann from Champagne Food on a Beer Budget, and tonight we're super proud to be cooking with Uncle Ben's 90-second Mexican style rice to make our delicious, full of flavour chicken fajitas.
Alright, let's show them how easy it is. So we're just going to prep our capsicum and onion, nice long thin strips.
So while Mick's getting that pan hot, I'm going to start in guacamole. Now watch this, guys. This is what we want you to do. Onto the board.
And a bit of that too.
And coriander will be magic. Oh, lime juice, most important.
Just getting that ready for you. Good squeeze of lime juice in there.
All of that, I want that all in there. Beautiful. Excellent. That's our guacamole done. So I'm going to hook into this spice rub, and it's all the flavours of Mexico, which is exactly what we want. So the next step, which we can do together, if you want to look after the veggies that you've done and I'll look after the chicken that I've done, we're going to add the seasoning.
Add seasoning and straight into a nice hot pan.
That's starting to look fabulous.
Yes, so we've left these veggies just sit for 5 minutes.
Mexico, here we come.
I've just made ourselves a bit of a hole in the middle.
So I'm going to put the chicken in.
Right, so same thing again, we're just going to let that sit for a minute before we add the next and final ingredients.
Absolutely, which is our Uncle Ben's Mexican style rice. Now the thing with this stuff, guys, is that we're going to add it straight to the pan because it'll cook in the pan. It's already got its flavours and its herbs, spices already in the packet. But the other thing is...
90 seconds.
In the microwave.
Microwave it for 90 seconds.
Absolutely.
Now we've actually done it that way in the past, but because we're doing a one dish, one pan wonder for you, this in 90 seconds just puts really good flavours in the rice.
Absolutely. Not only is it quick, but it's flavoursome. Yay! I love that. Look at that. Last thing you want to do is a bit of coriander, if you like coriander, but definitely a squeeze of lime. Well, I think that looks fantastic.
Now for the fun part.
Absolutely.
Then I want some of Uncle Ben's rice.
Yum.
That's me
So guys, give this recipe a go. It serves 4 people.
For this and more great recipes, just head to the website.
Absolutely. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
A second signature state government transport project is heading into trouble. Blake Johnson has details. Blake, the Metro Tunnel has hit problems.
Peter, there's a real risk this project could cost more than the $11 billion it was meant to. This news comes as more disruptions are announced because of the project. They're going to get rid of car traffic on Flinders Street here for the next 2 years. That's because they're getting rid of the left-hand turn lane from St Kilda Road into Flinders Street. So a bit of a hassle there for drivers, but news of a dispute with the project's contractor is also less than ideal. First, the Westgate Tunnel. Now, the Metro Tunnel is having issues with the contractor. 7 News understands a construction worker shortage along Australia's east coast and supply issues from the pandemic could blow out the tunnel's $11 billion budget.
The Metro Tunnel budget is going to depend on the finalising of the issues that we're working through with our contractors at the moment.
At this stage, the project is still due to finish in 2025. The no left from St Kilda Road into Flinders Street will stay for 2 years. Metro Tunnel's next stage requires a lot more trucks coming and going from this intersection full of excavated dirt. Trucks, cars and pedestrians are a dangerous mix, so road authorities will remove cars.
We need to move the intersection pedestrian crossing behind us from St Paul's to Fed Square further to the east. That will mean a lot more people will be coming over to the pedestrian crossing on the other side.
Despite the government demanding workers to stay home, traffic is still increasing on our roads. Over the past 3 weeks, traffic on Dandenong Road at Caulfield has jumped from 62,000 cars each day to almost 77,000. The Nepean Highway at Brighton has increased from 66 to 79,000, and 95,000 cars now travel along Hoddle Street each day, which is back to pre-pandemic levels. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
Australia's interest rates are remaining steady after the Reserve Bank decided against a cut to its official rate. Network Finance Editor Gemma Acton joins us now. Gemma, why no change?
Well, Peter, the Reserve Bank Board said that it would keep rates low for as long as needed, but added that the economy has been doing a little better now than it was a month ago. The RBA's left the official rate at 0.25%, despite Westpac's Bill Evans urging it to consider a negative interest rate. That'd make borrowing cheaper and take some of the wind out of the sails of the Australian dollar. That's now buying 68 US cents. It's up 20% since March, and is making it harder for our exporters to sell their goods and services overseas. Meantime, new data out of NAB today showed that online spending jumped by 58% in April. That's the highest leap on record and was led by takeaway food, toys and games. Australians are also now feeling more confident with the pandemic coming under control locally and lockdown restrictions easing. Peter.
Finance Editor Gemma Acton, thank you. Homicide Squad detectives believe they're close to a breakthrough in a murder linked to the drug underworld. The victim's body was found wrapped in plastic and dumped in a park in Melbourne's west.
Police still don't know who murdered Shu John Lim, but after 5 years, they're closing in on his killer.
We know that Gian was last seen alive at a friend's house in Covent Gardens in Point Cook. The accounts provided by all 4 persons of interest at that premises don't stack up.
Mr Lim's body was found wrapped in plastic, dumped next to the Werribee River. The new clue, these 2 cars seen leaving the area soon after. The 26-year-old's car was abandoned in Alfred Street, Leverton.
Police have information that an Asian male was driving the vehicle at that time, and that male was not Gian.
Mr Lim's murder could have been even more difficult to solve. Detectives believe his body could have been lying in this reserve for up to 7 months before a group of university students stumbled across it.
This was a brutal crime. Anybody who's prepared to kill someone, wrap them in plastic and then dump them in the river has absolutely zero regard for human life.
Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
A policeman has been put on restricted duties after a review into a teenager's arrest. The 17-year-old allegedly threatened the officer in Sydney yesterday. The boy's friends have accused the officer of brutality.
You just slammed him on his face. What? Oi! What the f***? Slammed him on the face. You just slammed him on his face.
Senior police say they're keeping local elders informed during a review. Tourists have returned to the Colosseum in Rome as parts of Europe come out of lockdown. The famous landmark has new health checks in place after being closed for 3 months. It's a promising sign for the tourism industry. Spain has had its first day without a COVID-19 death since March, while Britain is moving at a slower pace amid fears of a second wave. It's as long as 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools and as slow as a snail. A massive semi is crawling through our suburbs with drivers warned to avoid it or settle in for a long night.
It's painfully slow to watch. Even more painful if you're caught behind it. The top speed just 25 kilometres an hour. This superload is carrying a huge electrical component to the Loy Yang power station in Traralgon. 119 metres long, 6 metres wide. Engineers and escorts are carefully guiding it through the streets.
They're travelling in front of the load and behind the load as well, just to make sure they know what's coming up.
Last night, the load travelled from Port Melbourne to Hallam. Tonight, it'll make its way to Yarragon, and on Wednesday night, it'll complete the journey to Traralgon. There will be very few chances for cars to overtake the superload on its 9-hour journey along the Princes Freeway tonight. The advice is to avoid driving in the area after 10 p.m.
There will be a number of times where it has to cross to the other side of the road, so it will impact traffic in both directions.
Louisa Cheatley, 7 News.
Still to come tonight, taking a stand on the steps of power, a last-ditch plea to stop shooters moving in on unwanted horses. Also, COVID-19 cash bonuses for more than 100,000 Woolies workers. The new player taking on Netflix, what's on offer? And a triple dose of panda cuteness.
You bond with him is a lie.
The father with not long left.
What happens when you can't hide that you're sick anymore?
I don't know. If she breaks her silence, it will break his heart.
I just couldn't keep lying to you.
Home and Away, next on 7.
Let's talk about health insurance and how you could be paying for things you don't need. Comparing might even save you money. Okay, I'll do it for you. Take the out of saving. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect on 13 19 20.
Coming up next, energy prices. No!
Design, performance, exceptional value. A Mazda stands out. At the Mazda Standout End of Financial Year event, get a Mazda CX-3 Neo Sport from $23,990 drive away. Search Mazda offers now.
Why don't you come? All the treasures are mine, never getting old. If you're looking for me, I'll be dancing in my own way.
With Belong, you get 10 gigs of mobile data for $25 a month. That's 10 gigs of family time, 10 gigs of scrolling through memory lane, 10 gigs of staycations, or 10 gigs of catching up with the family. Plus, unlimited international calls and texts to selected countries for $5 extra. We all spend family time differently. Together, we're different. Belong.
Time's running out to enter the MS Dream Home Lottery. And when you can win a $1.5 million grand prize, tickets are selling fast. Hurry and get yours today.
At Yui, we're all about how you use or don't use your car. Luke normally drives his car 3 days a week to get to work, but during this crisis, he's working from home. So we're giving him temporary relief on his car insurance premium. Yui, you insured.
Drive now, pay later on selected Volkswagen Amaroks and vans. Hit the ground rolling with your first 3 monthly repayments on us. Plus, get a 1.99% interest rate.
Volkswagen. Let's compare health insurance. You might even save some money. Okay, I'll do it. Take the out of saving. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect.
Woolworths is giving 100,000 employees bonuses for their work during the coronavirus crisis. Full-time staff are receiving shares worth $750 and $250 in gift cards.
There's no better way of recognising someone's efforts than granting them a modest share of ownership in the group in which they've put incredible effort into building.
Part-timers will also be rewarded. The total cost is estimated at more than $50 million. Daniel Andrews has again been forced to defend signing up to China's controversial Belt and Road deal. The Premier came under sustained attack in the first sitting of Parliament since it was shut down due to the coronavirus crisis.
Horses led the steps of Parliament.
Save our Brumbies!
Protesters demanding an end to the planned Brumby cull in the high country.
I don't think they should be slaughtered. I don't think slaughter is an option, and I don't think it's an answer.
Inside this year's first sitting since the COVID-19 pandemic began, the Premier belted on his Belt and Road trade deal with China.
It is bad policy and bad optics.
It allows Beijing to invest in global projects, including here in Victoria, slammed elsewhere as debt-trap diplomacy, shunned even by federal Labor.
Some may be happy to take their orders from Canberra. I'm not one of them.
The opposition hammered the Premier on China's human rights record. But for Daniel Andrews, the Belt and Road deal is all about jobs, not diplomacy.
We don't agree with China on every issue. Of course we don't. If that is the mission of those opposite, to actually sell less goods to less customers, well, we don't agree with that approach.
Goods like Victorian barley. Its growers now struggling under the weight of hefty Chinese tariffs. Jodie Lee, 7 News.
And farmers are set to push for hundreds of millions of dollars in compensation after the federal court ruled the Gillard government's ban on live cattle exports was unreasonable and unlawful.
We've had a great outcome from the courts that have recognised the reckless decision made by the then government that decimated and devastated an agricultural industry.
The ban came after reports Australian cattle were being mistreated in some Indonesian abattoirs. There's a new player in Australia's already crowded field of TV streaming services, but viewers are being warned it can all add up to a big new household expense.
Being at home and in lockdown has meant more people are streaming online entertainment than ever before.
Streaming services have actually gone through the roof.
In Australia, we're spoiled for choice. Around 5 million of us subscribe to streaming giant Netflix, a basic plan costing $9.99 with a focus on original content. Local streaming service Stan has around 1.7 million customers and costs the same, with a focus on Australian content. KO, specifically for sports fans, is pricier at $25 a month, while Disney Plus, aimed at the kids, is gaining momentum. And for free, there's 7 Plus, with plenty of local and overseas content.
Yeah, there's lots of free streaming options through Catch Up.
Now, a new player has entered the arena. Binge is a streaming service boasting 10,000 hours of content and 800 movies. It includes Game of Thrones, Chernobyl, Big Little Lies and Modern Family, also starting at $10 a month. On average, Australians spend about $35 a month on streaming services. The question from the experts, is there room for another player as competition for content heats up? Samantha Brett, 7 News.
AFL stars are questioning the need for drastic cuts to player list sizes. Tim Watson has more with sport. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Mitch. Yes, coming up, the Players Association demands transparency from AFL House, plus how the Cats are pushing to pioneer crowds in 2020 as Jack Stephen ramps up his return. Also, a proud Saint stands tall as a Bombers goal kicker reveals his incredible COVID scare, how a footy legend shaped Clarko and the Hawks, and why the knives are out already at Melbourne Storm.
The front bar is back
if you are looking for earnest discussion or a level of sensitivity about the coronavirus, this show may not be for you.
How old are you there, Michael?
12.
I've got twin boys, and I think that's how it started. Oh, get out of it, you pink maggot!
When Eleni throws the bouquet in the air, two of the girls are going to have to nominate who goes up.
Oh, the pub's closed down.
Judging by that performance, NIDA was closed as well.
The Front Bar is back, Thursday on 7.
The power's in your hands and at your feet. The BMW 320i sedan from 69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
What can you get at Kogan.com? You can order pizza, cook pizza, wear pizza, hug pizza, swim with pizza, sleep with pizza. Okay, too much pizza. Get it quick smart at Kogan.com.
Plush Sofa's end of financial year sale is now on. Shop in showroom or online with up to 50% off everything and 48 months interest free.
Save on the Samsung Galaxy S20 5G on Australia's best 5G. Find out more in-store or online by June 30.
Thanks to Light and Easy, Australians of all ages can enjoy delicious, nutritious meals in the comfort and safety of home. If you or someone close to you could benefit by having healthy meals delivered, visit lightandeasy.com.au today.
I love shopping online for my pets at Pet Circle. I can easily find thousands of products, all with the best price guarantee. These guys are like family and I want to take care of them. But finding their favourite brands is hard and expensive. Then I discovered petcircle.com.au. With Pet Circle, I save on food, treats and litter, all with contactless, free delivery to my door. There's no reason to shop anywhere else. And it seems a lot of people agree. Shop online at petcircle.com.au.
Get into the Good Guys for hot buys on Bosch Laundry. Get $400 off this 10-kilo washer. This front-load washer only $7.97. Plus, loads more hot buys on Bosch washers and dryers across the store and in our catalogue. Pay less every day, only at the Good Guys.
We're ready to get back out there again. As we do, it's up to all of us to stay COVID safe. Anytime you leave your house, wash your hands regularly. Keep physical distance where you can. Have the COVID Safe app on your phone. And importantly, if you're feeling sick, you need to stay at home and get tested. Together, we can reduce the risk of a second wave. Stay COVID-free and do the 3.
Authorised by the Chief Medical Officer, Canberra.
Welcome back. Respected Geelong boss Brian Cook has urged the AFL to open its books to clubs as players balk at pay cuts without detailed financial information. As the COVID crisis bites, Cook wants the Cats' boutique home ground to be a test case to get fans back to the game.
Brian Cook's the godfather of footy administrators, and he has a message for the players.
I think the whole industry will reduce in size and reduce in its wages, and so I think everyone will probably take a hit from chief executives to players.
It comes as the AFLPA urges the league to open its books.
I don't think it's unreasonable for a player to be saying, well, why would I be taking a cut unless I know that the industry actually is losing this money?
Cook understands the AFLPA's push and says the clubs will soon be lining up to see the league's books.
There's been a fair bit of trust between all parties, but there'll come a time where the AFL will need to be transparent with the clubs about its financial strategy as well.
Geelong's been an AFL powerhouse, but is now AFL assisted.
We did that because our analysis shows that we'll run out of money by the end of this year.
The response of members in not calling for refunds has been a saviour.
We thought that we would be about $10 million out of pocket. We think we're about six worse off now.
He sees the Cats' home ground as an ideal pilot for crowds.
It can be scalable, anything from 5,000 to 30. And the ground looks, relatively covered.
Jack Stevens in training, but like Cook is expected to be watching from home as the Cats take on the Hawks.
Waiting on both the police and the AFL to complete their investigations, and in the meantime, our role is to ensure the health of Jack Stevens is improving.
Mark Stevens, 7 News.
St Kilda star Bradley Hill says he respects Chad Wingard's response to the US protests. Hill says it's everyone versus racism and believes more has to be done to stamp it out here in Australia.
Posing for National Reconciliation Week, St Kilda star Bradley Hill can understand why riots and protests in America have had an impact on Indigenous Australians.
It's pretty bad what's going on, and it's not blacks versus whites. It's everyone else versus racism. So it's something that's getting better over here, but there's still stuff that does go on, and hopefully can get better.
Hawks star Chad Wingard has put a self-imposed media ban on himself in response to mainstream media coverage of the US protests.
If that's what Chad wants to do, I respect his decision.
At Essendon, Michael Hurley failed to train due to soreness just days after an injection in his hip. Injured star Orazio Fantasia watched on as skipper Dyson Heppel continued to train with a brace on the finger he dislocated. Irishman Conor McKenna picked up where he left off. Joe Danaher ran laps, while Sean McKernan revealed he feared he had coronavirus when he missed round 1.
Thought I might have had it, but they ended up figuring out it was pneumonia.
John Kennedy Sr.'s iconic speech will be played over and over for generations.
At least do something! Do! Don't think, Mick! Don't hope! Do!
Now at the age of 91, the 3-time premiership coach who revolutionised the game has been named a legend of the Australian Football Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your courtesy and goodwill.
The Kennedy name just continues to have influence right throughout the competition, but still particularly here at Hawthorn.
2010 Norm Smith medalist Lenny Hayes was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Sean Sowerby, 7 News.
The AFL faces increasing uncertainty over fixturing the next 2 rounds of the season after the first 4. Live now to Tom Brown. And Tom, West Coast and Fremantle's reluctance to stay in a hub could throw up another curveball.
Another headache for the AFL concerning these next 2 rounds tonight, Tim. West Coast and Fremantle both don't want to stay in the Gold Coast hub for more than 4 weeks. Now, I understand there's been ongoing discussions with the Players Association over this issue today. For example, a lot of the players aren't taking their families in anticipation of going back to Western Australia after the 4 weeks on the Gold Coast. It means that unless South Australia and Western Australia ease their border restrictions, those strict restrictions, the AFL could face a delay in the season, or alternatively, one option I can tell you being explored is 3 or 4 sides at a time going to Perth, forming a new hub, effectively playing their away games over there, staying for up to a month. This was the Fremantle coach speaking to 7 News this afternoon.
At this stage, we're planning for 4 weeks. We've also put some plans in place if it does go longer, but we're hoping it is a 4-week stay and we can get back to normal.
And Tim, tough times on the job front, but I can tell you former Tiger and Giant Brett Delidio is planning on becoming a player agent. Once he's done his course, he'll partner up with his long-term manager, Anthony McConville. He's pivoted. Delidio was planning this year on planning the VFL for the Box Hill Hawks and part-time coaching Hawthorn. He's out of a job because of COVID. He's already found a new one of his own accord, Tim.
Thanks, Tom. And there's already been a casualty from Melbourne Storm's disappointing loss to the Raiders. Captain Cameron Smith has got the razor out and said goodbye to his ISO beard.
It was a pretty good-looking beard. It was nice, thick. See how he goes, hopefully a bit faster now without the beard.
The Storm take on the Rabbitohs at Amy Park this Friday night. Mitch, do you think that will make him faster?
It's bound to be, yes.
And congratulations too to John Kennedy and also to Lenny Hayes.
I must admit I was surprised John Kennedy wasn't already a legend.
In many people's minds, he's always been a legend, John Kennedy, but now it's official.
And Lenny Hayes, what a player he was.
Superstar.
I used to love watching him play.
Superstar player and superstar bloke too.
A warrior. Thank you very much indeed, Tim. Jane is next with the forecast live from Beechworth. Jane, how does the rest of the week look?
Well, Mitch, I'm happy about Lenny too, but it'll get nicer as it goes on. We have a stretch of sunshine on the way. The details are next.
So what triggers this guy? Or who?
Everything they've ever learned.
Where else do you go?
Everything they've ever done.
Who else do you hurt?
Has all been leading to this.
Us. They come after us.
The killer final season of Criminal Minds. Tonight at 9 on 7.
Do it, baby. It's on, mate.
Make this week one to remember. Run second, third or even fourth and get money back in bonus up to $50 on selected races every day. PointsBet.
From the director of Bridesmaids comes Stan's new series starring Anna Kendrick.
Have you found the one?
No, I found some losers on Match.com.
The brand new series Love Life, now streaming only on Stan.
You know you'll make a great mom one day.
Wise men say.
You know, I had the weirdest cravings when I was pregnant with you. Pickles and ice cream.
Oh, if I can help falling in love with you.
Dyson's most powerful intelligent vacuum now comes in a larger format, a 25% wider cleaner head and a 150% bigger bin. Only a Dyson works like a Dyson.
With Belong, you get 10 gigs of mobile data for $25 a month. That's 10 gigs of family time, 10 gigs of scrolling through memory lane, 10 gigs of staycations, or 10 gigs of catching up with the family. Plus, unlimited international calls and texts to selected countries for $5 extra. We all spend family time differently. Together, we're different. Belong.
Oh, baby, baby, feed me. Baby, feed me. Oh, feed me.
Time powerless to resist.
From home time to sleepy time, IKEA designs around life's precious moments. So make mess, mohawks, and laugh until your belly hurts. Because with IKEA, there really is no place like home.
Let's do it, baby. It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get best tote on all exotics on every race across all Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide races. PointsBet.
When the road calls, here's the very best way to answer. The BMW X3 S-Drive 20i from $69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
Her secret could break his heart.
I just couldn't keep lying to you.
Home and Away, next on 7.
This weather report brought to you by the BMW 3 Series.
Hello again. Beechworth has been cloudy with just a bit of drizzle, similar to Melbourne today, but quite a bit colder. In the city, the chilliest part of the night was early in the evening. We had a pool of cold air overhead that moved away overnight. So today was 5 degrees warmer than what we had yesterday. It reached 15.6. It didn't feel very warm though under that grey sky. The cloud has spread over much of the state except East Gippsland, blocked by the ranges. So it only reached 11 in Wangaratta, but sunny tops of 16 felt a bit nicer from Sale to Orbost. Yesterday's burst of wet weather is now a low and front over the Tasman Sea, giving Sydney a wet and windy day. We're in the gap before the next front arrives, racing through and clearing us tomorrow. So we've had a bit of drizzle, and that is likely to increase a touch overnight, mainly in the south and east. But the front is racing through, so it's all clear by tomorrow afternoon. In Melbourne, that means we have some wet weather overnight, but it clears tomorrow morning. Then high pressure moves in, we'll have a stretch of sunshine. The next front arrives at the start of the weekend. With each run of the weather models, it looks weaker and weaker. Showers should be all gone by Sunday afternoon and barely affect the north. So the long weekend gets better as it goes on. Showers in Melbourne on Saturday, clearing on Sunday. And northern Victoria should be dry all the way through, so come to Beechworth, it'll be lovely. Around the nation tomorrow is sunny in Brisbane, mostly sunny in Sydney but windy. Early fog in Canberra, just 11 in Hobart. Slowly turning sunny in Adelaide and Perth. To Victoria, patchy morning fog in the northeast. We have isolated showers clearing by the afternoon. Cloud, the white patches on that map, slowly breaking to sunshine, except in the southwest and at the central coast where it could stay cloudy all day. Closer in and the overnight showers clear eastern suburbs in the morning. Then all dry and turning quite sunny, first in the northern suburbs, later on in the south. The city starts on 10, ahead of a top of 14. It's just an early shower, then increasing sunshine. To the 8-day outlook, the end of the week is absolutely lovely. Bright sunshine and light winds. But that means the mornings are chilly and there could be some fog at first. Let's have a look at that long weekend. On Saturday, that's when the cold front arrives. So the top temperature is 13. We're looking at lots of showers moving through. Now, maximum of 2 millimetres, so it's not quite as wet as we were once thinking. They ease on Sunday morning, and by Monday, that's the peak of the long weekend. But in northern Victoria, it's looking pretty good all the way through. 14 tomorrow, Mitch.
Thanks, Jane. Enjoy Beechworth. Finally tonight, 3 panda cubs have made their debut at a zoo in China. The trio were born in March. Keepers say they're healthy and growing well. 2 of the cubs have been named after traditional Chinese food, one after a noodle dish and the other a baked pancake. Hope that's not an omen. And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 2nd of June. Thanks for your company. We'll have updates later. For now, from the team, good night.
Are you ready for Monday?